Thank you all. I'm Jim Davis, the interim president. I want to start off by thanking our chairman of the Board of Regents. It is impossible to overstate the importance and the support we get from our Board of Regents at this university. Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for all you do for us in athletics, in academics, all across the state. Thank you, sir. And also for Chris Del Conte, I join in the praise of our athletic director, the vision he brings to this campus, the vision he has for athletics. Coach Miller, welcome. We're glad to have you here at the University of Texas. We're looking forward to seeing the championship team, the program, the character you bring to this university and the program you're going to build. And Amy, welcome to Austin, Texas. We're proud to have you. Hook 'em horns.
Hi, everybody. It is fitting that we're having this press conference in the Hall of Fame. I think when you walk in the front doors, it says the eyes of Texas are upon you. When you're sitting here and you see all the championship trophies that we've won, and we have a saying around here, the winning traditions of the University of Texas shall not be entrusted to the timid nor the weak. That's how we're judged at this institution. We have incredible coaches here. I look out in the audience, and such accomplished coaches, and I can't thank you enough for taking on this challenge at the University of Texas and for you all being here to celebrate what we're all about. We're all about bringing championship coaches to the University of Texas. Before I make my remarks on Sean, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that there's not a decision that's made at the University of Texas that is not involving our relationships with Kevin Altife and President Davis. Every decision we make, we constantly talk about what is right for Texas. What is the standard we're trying to achieve across the board? And knowing that the brand of Texas is first and foremost the most important thing that we represent. We all represent that. And it is a great day for the University of Texas, but for your leadership and your steadfast friendship, two of you throughout this time period, but more importantly throughout this entire time, has been incredible. Hey, Coach Sarkisian, hi, buddy. By the way, I found your doppelganger. If you guys know, you guys look a lot alike. It's pretty hilarious. But when you think about who we attract at the university, it is because of your leadership. And President Davis, during this incredible time when we had a transition, Chairman Altife, you steadied the ship and said, we got the guy. I'm so glad to be serving you, and I'm glad that every time there's rocky roads, you step up and say, we got this, and it's incredible for your leadership. During this process, I just want to give a shout out to Sean Eichhorst, Sarah Baumgartner, Chris Plonsky. You guys have been really the backbone of every conversation we make and decisions that we are making. When we were making this difficult decision, and I want to echo my remarks to Rodney, did an amazing job under such tough conditions. And he came and did a yeoman's job. To our players that are here, you guys represent the University of Texas in such incredible manner. You guys are amazing people, young people, and Rodney and his entire staff did an incredible job. But when we are looking to make a change, the conversations were where we are going to go, what we needed. And I know the coaches that we've attracted here, we looked at, have they competed for championships? Have they done the things that they built a program that we know that when they come to Texas with who we are, that our goal is to put up another trophy here. We want to win championships at the University of Texas in all our sports. And when we started to make a change, we had a deep dive conversations about who fits this. Because Texas isn't for everybody. We know that. You know, when we say the eyes of Texas are upon you, what does that mean? It means, are we living up to the standard that we set forth? And we start to look at the landscape. Who's won at the highest level? When you talk about Coach Miller, he has a 700 winning percentage, been to 4 Elite Eights, been to 8 Sweet 16s, built a team that was unbelievable history and tradition. Yet, when he left Arizona, he went to Xavier. They had not been in the tournament in 4 years. They were downtrodden. Sweet 16 immediately. Went to tournament appearances in 3 years. You start to think, that's a coach. Competed at the highest level, won at the highest level, and took a program on its way down and said, here you go. And we did a thorough background check for all media that is here, and went through a thorough background check and said, wait a minute. You know, all of us in life has looked what has happened in our journey. And in that journey, there's a bump in the road that you will say, this bump in the road. And for us, when we did a thorough investigation of that, there was not one NC2A report that was found. There was nothing in his background that said this guy is not prepared for this institution, not prepared for this opportunity. Yet, we're always judged in public court of opinion. But when I found and had my conversation with Coach Miller and his wife, I found a hungry dog. A dog that's ready to compete at the highest level, wants a chance to win a championship, has honed his offensive and defensive skills for this opportunity. He came for this job with the mindset that I want to take Texas basketball to its rightful place. He's been there. He has pelts on the wall that says this is the journey we need to take. No different than the coaches we hired with Coach Schaefer, Coach Schlossnagle. I see Angie there. I see Jared here. Incredible coaches are in this room. Coach Schaefer, you're on a run, my man. I see you back there, buddy. Coaches that constantly adhere to the standard. That's what we are looking for. I am so proud today to introduce to you our new head men's basketball coach, Sean Miller, and his wife, Amy. Come on here, Sean. Welcome to the University of Texas.
Well, thank you. It goes without saying, this is a day that doesn't happen to many people in life, and I know this is a life-changing opportunity for my family, my wife and I see it no less than that. And I'm so looking forward to the future of doing amazing things, like Chris had mentioned, which has become the standard here at Texas and what appears to me to be in virtually every sport. I want to start my comments here this afternoon or this morning thanking the place that I left. Xavier University is a small Jesuit school in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it is an amazing place. To be the college basketball coach there has incredible meaning to the university. Their athletic director, Greg Christopher, and president, Colleen Hanich, believed in me, gave me an opportunity, and it's when change happens, there's always people and things going in two different directions. That direction, you wouldn't want me to be the coach if I didn't have some strong feelings about the place that I left. I love that place. If you think about my journey, I've been a coach for 32 years in college basketball. 11 of those 32 were at Xavier, 8 as the head coach in 2 different stints. It's a place that trusted me, believed in me. And when I tell you I'm forever a part of them and forever grateful, that would be an understatement. And I like to thank everybody that's associated with that place that I left. By the way, it's ironic that we just played Texas, right? And I think that anybody that watched the game on TV or was at that game would feel that passion that I'm describing about the fans. I mean, it was, unfortunately for Texas, a true road game. And we certainly were able to take advantage of that great crowd. In terms of today, I would like to thank Chairman Eltife, President Davis, and certainly Chris Del Conte for this unbelievable opportunity. We spent some time talking this morning, and they all kind of started the conversation with a lot of things, but the thing that resonated with me more than anything is the brand or slogan, you know, what begins here at Texas. What starts here changes the world, right? What starts here at Texas changes the world. And it's like when you think about that, that is an incredibly powerful statement. And to be the coach here is quite an honor. Rodney Terry is somebody that I know as a coaching friend, and I've known Rodney both as an assistant, head coach, and he was at Fresno and UTEP, and certainly we competed against each other 2 different times while he was the head coach here at Texas and I was at Xavier. I have immense respect for him. He's a great man. He did an incredible job, and he impacted Texas, the University of Texas, and his basketball program in a much greater way than just his final 3 years. He was actually here for a total of 12 years. And, you know, in my runs at both Xavier and Arizona, when we played Texas, I coached against Texas when he was both the assistant and head coach, so I know he's given his heart and soul to this place, and just want to make sure from that perspective, again, when change happens, people go in different ways. I have certainly an amazing amount of respect for what he's done for this basketball program. I'm so excited to be here at Texas. When we talked this morning, I didn't realize that the athletic department has won 3 out of 4 Directors' Cups. I believe that Stanford owned that identity for a long period of time. No longer. And when you see the success in other programs, I'm anxious to meet Coach Schaefer. Laura Ianello is somebody that I worked with when I was the coach at Arizona, and she was the women's golf coach at Arizona. She's now here at Texas, and I haven't seen her yet, but she was a national championship coach at Arizona. She's here now at Texas. And then obviously football, Steve Sarkisian. I've been a fan. I'm a huge college football fan, probably because I grew up in Pittsburgh. You know, if you say, Coach, who do you watch the most? Amy and I, like we damn near put on like Franco Harris's jersey and watch the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. And sometimes I save my energy and I just watch that SEC game on Saturday. But I've watched the rise of Steve. We were in the Pac-12 together. He was at, obviously, Washington and SC. We have a common friend, Kevin McGuff, who I know he worked with at Washington. And I've become a fan of watching the SEC football in Texas. It's like, what do you do on weekends? That's a big part of what I like to do before our season starts. Bijan Robinson went to South Point High School in Tucson. Went to high school in the same class as my youngest son, Braden, which is wild to watch him here in little old Tucson playing high school football and watch him become the offensive rookie of the year with the Falcons. It's like, wow, that's Bijan, you know, a guy that I used to watch in 9th and 10th grade. So I'm anxious to be a part of that fabric and embrace everybody here and do what those other programs have done. And there's no doubt in my mind that when you're the flagship school of the state of Texas, your power is limitless. When you're a part of the SEC, it just means more. I don't know if there's a slogan that makes more sense than that. You feel it on football Saturdays. You feel it in this year's Sweet 16 in basketball. For a minute there, I thought all 16 teams were from the SEC. You step away and like, wow. Arguably the greatest conference ever put together is in present time in the SEC when you talk about basketball. In terms of the former players, I have lived that life 2 different times. At Xavier, where you have incredible players, David West, James Posey. At a smaller school, Brian Grant, Tyrone Hill, to welcome them back and make sure that they know that this program is always theirs. When I went to Arizona and took over, I was the 4th coach in 4 years. Lute Olson's shadow was immense. And what he built there at the University of Arizona, that program will forever be his program. But those players, Jason Terry, who worked on my staff, Damon Stoudemire, who worked on my staff, Joseph Blair, who's going to be an NBA head coach here soon, worked on my staff, Steve Kerr, Richard Jefferson, Gilbert Arenas, I can keep going. Those guys, I tried always to make sure that they understood that the coach may have changed, but what they built is what we live on. And you're always welcome in our program. Here at Texas, I could name a lot of names, some of which are right here in the crowd, but TJ Ford from Houston, obviously Kevin Durant, who's from DC, LaMarcus Aldridge from Dallas, Avery Bradley from Seattle. I bring those examples up because you see that the great state of Texas, like, it might be the most talent-rich state in our country when it comes to recruiting. Yet, you know, what starts here changes the world. You can go to Canada and get Tristan Thompson. You can go to Seattle and get Avery Bradley. It's both the combination of this great state and also the world. And I think our job is to recruit the world and bring the best program and team we can here to Texas. And super excited about that. The same with the coaching history, whether it's Shaka Smart, Chris Beard from recent times, and I know both guys well. Chris is a good friend. Shaka, I just finished coaching against him the last 3 years at Marquette. We played him 3 times this year. The games and all 3 games were decided by a grand total of 6 points. They were just absolute basketball wars. Tom Penders, I've known since I've been in 2nd grade. He was somebody that I met a long, long time ago growing up. And then Coach Barnes, he may get mad at me, Rick Barnes, but if you can imagine this, he was my first coach that I ever had. It's at the Pitt basketball camp. I was a 3rd grader. He led me to a championship, or maybe I led him to a championship as a 9-year-old. And I know that's a difference in age there, but he's somebody that I've known since 9, and I know what a great coach and tenure he had here. We competed against him, and I think what he's doing at the University of Tennessee, it really speaks volumes to the great coach that he is. I also have an amazing, unique track record with Texas. You know, everybody will remember the last 2 times. Think about it, a Sweet 16 matchup in which Texas beat Xavier at UD Arena, which just happened a couple weeks ago, which was an incredible game. Could have gone either way 10 times over. I don't know if people in here remember, but there was a game that meant the Sweet 16. There was arguably a 5-second count that impacted the game. I thought it was one of the best calls in the NCAA tournament history. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, you'll know what I mean. But I had a guy named Derek Williams, which arguably became the greatest player in that NCAA tournament, was the number 2 pick in the draft. And obviously Jordan Hamilton, I think, took a charge on the last play. I don't know if Jordan was used to taking charges, but an and one won the game, and it led us to a Sweet 16. And then if you go all the way back, Sweet 16, when I was an assistant coach in the Atlanta, Georgia Dome, in which we won. I was at Xavier then. We went on to lose to Duke. As a player, I played in the preseason NIT against Coach Penders in New York City. So you think about that, that's almost a lifetime of experiences. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity now to wear this burnt orange and coach Texas. In terms of the vision of the program, it's really about 4 things with me. I believe this over my time, like all of us, 32 years, 20 years as a head coach. What you once did sometimes is made better, sometimes is left out. You continue to grow and evolve. And I believe I've really grown and evolved a lot, even over the last 4 or 5 years, both on and off the court as a coach. Vision of the program starts with recruiting. You know, if you follow Texas football, you know, I'm sure that coach would say the same thing. The lifeblood of what they do are the decisions they make, that who inevitably becomes their roster. It's going to be a combination of the transfer portal, recruiting the very best high school players, having a great feel for international recruiting. And again, what starts here changes the world. That's the state of Texas. Again, when you look at the talent in cities, just Dallas and Houston, it's never been more plentiful. When you're who we are, it's going to begin there. Player development. It's one thing to recruit people and players to your program. They have to get better. The greatest gift that's happened to me as a coach is that I coached at Xavier. We might not be able to get the McDonald's All-American. In our history at Xavier, we stand at a grand total of 0 McDonald's All-Americans. Yet if you look at the results, how did that happen? How do you have winning teams and teams that advance in March Madness? Players have to improve. They have to grow. They have to get better. And when you're in charge or a part of that type of program, we're going to bring that same type of staff and know-how here to Texas, so that it's not only recruiting great talent, but it's making sure that they develop in the proper way, that one day they can become an NBA player. Style of play. And again, I know I'm talking Texas football here. I'm a huge football fan, like I said. But one of the things that captivates me when I have a choice, who do I watch tonight? Well, who's the most exciting and excellent? College basketball is the same way. I believe in an up-tempo style of play. That's something that I've really changed on over the last 4 years. Playing fast doesn't mean playing reckless. In the NBA, there's a 24-second shot clock for a reason, and it's not going to shrink anytime soon. When you look at college basketball and player development being exciting, you could play fast, and you can also play smart. But I will tell you that in terms of pace of play and tempo, I promise I'll deliver on not only an exciting style, but I think a style that people and players will love to watch in person, on TV, and most importantly, to be a part of. When you think of our style, in addition to pace, you should think of movement, both ball and player movement, a togetherness on both offense and defense, and most importantly, and I think if you don't have it in this league that we're in, you have zero chance, and that is you better have a great toughness and will about you when you watch us play. You have to compete for it all. Every possession matters. So pace, movement, togetherness, and toughness, I think it really embodies the style that I believe in, and that's the style that we'll play here at Texas. And finally, the word culture is used a lot, especially when things are going well. I think where a culture is really judged is when things maybe aren't necessarily going well. And I'll point to the season that I just left, where if you would have judged the team that I coached in January or December, we might have been on the tournaments outside looking in. Dealt with a season-ending injury, dealt with some close losses. Where a culture really kicks in is at that moment of truth and the why in the road, can you really turn it around? And one of the things I'm so proud of the team I just left is that's in fact what we did. We played our best in February and March, and I point towards culture. Culture here, and I look forward to bringing it, is what I call all in. You know, the pillars of it are communication, respect, unity, passion, and joy. But when I say all in, it's not only who we are and what we do every single day as a team and coaching staff, but it's also what it feels like on game day in the Moody Center, with the Corral. To have a great college basketball program, you have to have an advantage when we play at home. If you think about Kansas or Fog Allen Fieldhouse, one of the things that inevitably creeps in your mind is what it feels like to play that home game. When you look at Duke and Cameron Indoor Stadium, there's arenas that are bigger. There are no arenas that you'll ever walk into that are a more home court advantage than what they've built at Cameron Indoor Stadium. At the Cintas Center, where I just left, Xavier, 6,000 undergraduate students. We had 1,200 student section every game for 17. The Corral and myself, I'm looking forward to a great relationship. We need an incredible home court. We need to have an electric, great student section. When I say all in, you need everybody. The people that hire you, an athletic department that is in alignment, and you need fans that understand that every game we play matters, but none matter more than those 17 home games we play a year. And finally, all in with former players is, again, like I had mentioned, we can't do this alone. We need your support, and we, as the new coach and staff, have to do a great job of always making you feel that this program is yours. But if you combine those incredible forces, each other as an athletic department, the home court atmosphere with fans, former players, in a way of building within a culture of all in, we need everybody. That's when magical things can really happen. I've been a head coach for 20 years. I'll give you the good and bad from this perspective. There's only been one coach that's been to more Elite Eights without reaching a Final Four than me, and that's the former Hall of Famer John Chaney. You can say, wow, those are some tough losses. But I've always operated from this perspective. You got to beat the door down and knock at it a number of times to eventually punch it through. And I'm looking forward to uniting with the resources and this amazing institution in place here at the University of Texas and breaking through. Not once, but multiple times. Competing for SEC championships and being a perennial great program like so many other great programs at this university are right now. I have 3 sons and my wife, Amy. Nobody has been through more than my wife, Amy. We met in high school, grew up in Pittsburgh, Black Hawk High School, both attended the University of Pittsburgh. She's been in more games without knowing the game than any wife has ever attended. I'll say that again. She's attended more games since I've been 16 years old, and she's been 16 years old, without truly knowing the game, than any fan that's ever done it. I love it about her. She just cheers, but like, I asked her, a couple of times this year, if someone calls it travel, what's that mean? And that's kind of one of the many things that I love about her. She loves me, we love each other. She's a great mom, a great wife, but she's been on this journey with me for 32 years, and all coaches that are in the audience know what I mean when I say that there's a special place in heaven for a coach's wife. But to have her with me here and at this press conference and us, I think, embarking on what I consider our final journey together, it's an amazing feeling. Again, thank you, Chris. Thank you for this opportunity. I am forever grateful, and I promise you that no staff, no coach will give more of himself to get us to the top than I will. Hook 'em.
Media, raise hands, please. Well, Mike Holder's, Abby's on my right-hand side. That is right here. Questions here for Chris. Bob, go ahead, please, on your front left.
Sean, Bob Ballou, CBS Austin. How you doing? Welcome to Austin. You mentioned it, the trips to the Elite Eight with no trip to the Final Four. What do you think the biggest hurdle has been to get you there, and why do you think this is the right place for you to take that step to a Final Four?
Yeah, I don't know if I can be specific, in 2 of the 4 games that I've been in that regional final, I can walk you through it almost. It was a block charge call in overtime to Wisconsin. The call went the wrong way, and when I tell you, if it didn't, I wouldn't have announced what I did here today. We would have been in a Final Four. We also lost to Kemba Walker, and they went on to win the national championship at UConn, in which we had 3 shots to win it and missed all 3. So I don't know if it's necessarily you didn't have this and now you do, but it begins and ends with what I said when I talked about the vision of the program. You have to have elite talent. It has to have a roster filled of people that are playing for the win, not just for their own personal glory. And it takes a little bit of good fortune in this great tournament. We just lived it. Against Texas, at Xavier, at UD Arena, we couldn't miss. Against Illinois, 3 days later, they couldn't miss. And as I try to judge what we did or didn't do well in both games, it's not a 7-game series in March Madness, and you see that. It's what captivates the world and makes that tournament so special. But if you put yourself in a position to have great resources from a great conference, and you have a chance to have the most talent, I think you give yourself the best chance to keep getting there, and as you do, one day it'll happen.
Hey, Sean, I'm Cedric Golden, Austin American Statesman. You haven't been to the Final Four in Texas, has been chasing one since 2003. Do you think those stars aligned, and was that part of your conversations with Mr. Del Conte?
Yeah, it has. I know, certainly from my perspective, hungry to get there. And I'll also tell you, I know this place is hungry to get back there and compete and win a national championship. But I think when you look at the 20-year period of time for me, I'll point you to an 8-year window. And it didn't just happen at one place. In an 8-year window, we went to 4 Elite Eights. And when you look at the 4 Elite Eights, 6 of those 8 years, we went to 2 other Sweet 16s. So I think when you're in that cycle and you can keep getting to that second round, inevitably it will happen, whether that's talking about Texas basketball or a coach himself. And I think that sustained excellence is something that you work towards improving. There are some things that I also believe that you change as a coach that can help you do better. I think one of the things for me offensively, to play a faster brand of basketball, I think gives us an even better opportunity to get to that final prize. And there's a lot of layers to that. I just believe that's how the game's played today.
Josh Newman from LoneStarLive.com. Sean, how much struggle was there in trying to decide whether or not to leave Xavier for a second time? And ultimately, what was the tipping point that brought you here?
Well, it was a major struggle for me on one sense, and that has nothing to do with the great place that I'm standing at right now. It's, it tugs at your heart when people believe in you and you've been at a place for 8 years as the head coach, 11 years, like I had mentioned. You have family and friends, and you become tied to so many of those teams and players in moments. And so much of it is doing more with less at a place like that. And there's a lot of pride that starts to become a part of who you are when you're in that. And, at the end of the day, this is a life-changing opportunity for me and my family. And I believe that it gives us the best opportunity to compete and win for national championships. The world of college sports has flipped upside down over the last 3 to 5 years, but no more sport than in college basketball. And when you think of the SEC 10 years ago or 5 years ago in the sport of basketball, and you look at this year, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference in the talent, the parity, the coaches, and I think to have the opportunity to compete against the best can bring out the best in you, and that was a big part of this.
Thomas Jones, Austin American Statesman. Sean, what do you see the role of a general manager in this era of college basketball, and do you have someone in mind? And then a second question, what do you know about NIL funding for Texas basketball, and what can you as a head coach do to increase that engagement?
Yeah, first, just not only the general manager question, but the staff. I'm taking a deep breath and obviously trying to put the best staff that I possibly can put together. There's a great group of people that I have at Xavier, which a number will come with me. And then I'm also realistic in understanding that here at the University of Texas, having people that are a part of this great state, that have a history and tradition and the know-how, whether it be in recruiting or growing up, living, playing at the University of Texas. So I'm just anxious to not take my time because we don't have time, but to certainly not rush into any decision and make sure that as I learn what's best here, that I make those choices. Clearly that position, though, that you asked a question about, I think is incredibly important to the future of college basketball and in any program that's trying to do what we're going to try and do.
Eric Henry, 24/7 Sports. Sean, I'll kind of piggyback off of Thomas's question. From your vantage point as a coach, how crucial is NIL to competing at an elite level? And the second part of that, what assurances from Chris Del Conte have you been given that Texas will compete at a level when it comes to NIL?
I don't have any concerns about whether we'll have the resources or the ability in the NIL space. I mean, this is the University of Texas, and, when you try to compete for a Final Four national championship, it has to be synonymous with being able to match up in that space that you're talking about. I will also tell you this, though, that the place itself is still the most important. There are young people that want a great education. There are young people that want to play in a conference that's never been ever stronger in any sport, the SEC. There are people that want to come to the University of Texas because of the great tradition and history, want to play in a style of play and have the resources to grow and become the best they can be. All that is still very, very important. And to your actual questions, that no longer stands alone, though. It has to be matched with the know-how and understanding that without name, image, and likeness and a plan to compete against the best, you can only go so far. But when those two forces are matched, I believe that great things happen, and I also believe that will happen here.
Hey, Sean. So the biggest difference between you and other coaches that Texas has had is your style is different. There have been a lot of defensive-minded coaches, but you're more of an offensive-minded guy. You're up-tempo, and the last guy who was like that sort of was Tom Penders. What did the fact that other SEC programs like Alabama and Kentucky are running these up-tempo offenses, does that give you confidence that your system's going to work as well, or did you have that confidence going in regardless?
I have the confidence regardless. Certainly recognize there's a number of programs in the SEC that are playing a style that is unique, using the three-point shot more than ever before, playing at a pace that maybe the great teams of the past didn't necessarily play as fast. But that's what I believe in. But I do want to say this. There's no way you can do it by scoring and outscoring people in college basketball. The defense is so much a part of the talent that you have. When you think of basketball, people think of talent on the offensive end. I can make the case the talent, size, quickness, shot blocking, positional height, that right there impacts the defensive side of the ball perhaps even more. Here, you have to be great at both. If you would have asked me the question you asked 5 years ago, someone would have acted like you don't know what you're talking about. I would have been known as a defensive coach at Arizona. But you have to blend both. I think you have to adapt and adjust to the new way. And, what once was is no longer. But I want our program to be known that when you play against us, we have a certain togetherness and toughness on defense that you can certainly look at as part of the identity of our program. The thing about basketball that's so unique is players have to do both. You're not a defensive or just offensive, and two-way players is something in recruiting you have to covet at a place like Texas.
Second row right, Kirk.
Kirk Bowles from the Houston Chronicle. Welcome, Sean. I wonder if any of your players are going to come with you from Xavier, and do you almost have to lean more into the portal than high school players that stay old?
Yeah, I can't really answer the first part. Obviously I have amazing loyalty to Xavier, and all of those kids have choices, and no different than the young players and the people that are returning here at Texas.
Take two last ones. Roger, go ahead.
Hi, Sean. Roger Wallace from NBC in Austin. These coaches' flips are so quick. Friday night, you're fighting to get to the second round of the tournament. Today, you're standing in Austin, Texas. What's that like emotionally for you and your family? All of a sudden, you got a new wardrobe and new thoughts and dreams.
It's really a great question, and it's what I started the press conference here today with my initial comments. With change, forces go in different directions. One coach leaves, a new coach comes. One place you leave, and they have very strong feelings about that, and then in the place that you arrive at has equally strong feelings. And as the person who's going through it with your family, those feelings can really be polarizing and can steal your mind. But for me, this opportunity, I don't think I've ever been more excited in my life to live in Austin, to live in Texas, to be here as the new head coach at Texas. And in time, the loyalty and the relationships, what I have found, they repair, and I think you can have a healthy way of moving forward and also respecting the past and where you came from. But you're right. Sometimes it doesn't feel right to leave one thing so quickly. The height of winning the game in the NCAA tournament and moving on towards leaving that place and coming to the new place. Again, I don't know if you'd want me to be the new coach here at Texas if those feelings don't tug and pull you in different directions. So you're right. I think it's a good observation on your part. It happens quickly, really does.
Coach John Hyde, Fox 7 Austin. We've heard perfect fit, perfect coach. What makes you so special?
I don't know if I'm special. I know this, that I'm a son of a high school coach. My dad won numerous high school state championships in Pennsylvania. We grew up in a football crazy place, Western Pennsylvania. I mean, where I grew up is Joe Namath. Me and him are from the same town. Tony Dorsett was 5 minutes, 10 minutes from where I grew up. Mike Ditka. You look at the quarterbacks, Jim Kelly, Joe Montana. I could keep going. I'm probably missing some. Sark could probably fill in, Ty Law, Aliquippa. Aliquippa's 15 minutes from where I grew up. So how do you become a basketball coach, basketball player? It starts with my dad. The one thing that I'll tell you is I don't think anybody who's ever met me would question my deep love for this game. I love it. I love it. When I didn't have the opportunity to coach and sat out, my wife will tell you at one point I was playing Madden. I didn't know what to do. It's like all I've done is basketball, and I, I'm here to tell you that from that perspective, I think that's the driving force of a lot of things. And I also think that the players that play for me and the players that we recruit, they have to be able to share in that passion for it to be a good fit. But I would say the one thing about me is that I truly do love this game of basketball.